All right, so you're thinking about making a move out to Washington State. Well, in this video, I want to break down for you some of the things that maybe I didn't really take into account for whenever I moved to Washington State. See, a while back, me and my family lived in Missouri. We packed up everything and we headed out to Washington State. We were super excited, ready for the new move, probably just like you are. But there were a few things that, unfortunately, did catch me off guard. And so I just want to share those with you today. So if you're looking to make a move here in the next 3 days or the next 3 months, Chris, myself, and our real estate team, we help move people here every single day. So shoot us a phone call, text, or an email, and we'll help you make that smooth move. If you want to know everything going on in Washington, also hit that subscribe button. Now listen, I do want to make this a caveat that I live in Western Washington, so Seattle, Bellevue, Tacoma area. If you do want to buy a house and move to the other side of the state, things could look a lot differently. So I'm going to be talking just mostly from my experiences here in the greater Seattle, Tacoma area. All right, the first thing, number one, it's not actually that rainy. It's actually more gray. This is something that people have put out into the universe forever. If you've seen movies like The Ring, it's just torrential downpouring all the time in Seattle. I've got to tell you that in Missouri, I felt like I had bigger rainstorms. I've only seen lightning 3 times since our family relocated out here. In fact, every time that there is lightning, it's hilarious because in our neighborhood, people freak out. They hardly ever get an opportunity to actually see lightning, which is super funny. And this typically goes from after about October through at least March. You really have this rainy, colder, by colder, 40 to 50, where I come from, it's negative 20 in the winter. So not so bad for me. But the rain isn't actually the problem. The rain isn't what people make it out to be. It's really the gray. There are days where you wish you had a shotgun and you could just point it up to the clouds and shoot it and let a little bit of light come through. The gray is really what I feel like is the hardest for people to adjust to. Some days you feel like you don't even see sunlight, and then days like today, it's perfectly crystal clear, beautifully blue, and we're in the middle of winter. So you don't need to adjust so much for the rain as you do need to for the consistent gray and a lot of fog. For me, it's all of the vitamin D that I can get. Take some gummies, whatever it is you got to do to get that vitamin D in. Number 2, man, the traffic out here, it does kind of suck. With the mountains on one side, the water on the other side, expansion of the highways is pretty limited. When they do try to do road work, it takes a long time because of the weather and politics and regulations and everything else. So our traffic is pretty bad here. I just saw a new article by the Seattle Times that said drivers lost an additional 64 hours sitting in traffic last year compared to the year before it. What I will tell you is, if I'm heading up I-5 from our neighborhood, I will take my wife, daughter, son, whatever I got to do to access the HOV lane. That is your number one winner. And if you absolutely can, then I suggest working through the non-high traffic time. So if you can leave somewhere after 9, or you can get somewhere before 5 or after 6:30, these are really the times that you're going to get the best traffic flow and life will be a lot easier. But I promise you, short of coming from LA, Boston, New York City, if you're moving out here from Tennessee, you are going to feel the traffic and the impact that has on your time and your daily life. Next one, I'm gonna be honest with you, I fully underestimated the cost of living out here. Like, new homes were more expensive at the time. I think the average home where I came from was like 180,000, and now here it was like 600,000. Now parts of Seattle are well over $1 million. And so I knew that was more expensive, but I also really felt like, okay, groceries aren't that much more, food's not that much more. And if you get on any of these websites that, like places that show you the cost of food, utilities, etc., it really doesn't look like living in Western Washington is that more expensive. But it's the little things that I didn't take into account. Like, my kid to play football was like $800, plus we had to buy all the pads, everything for him to get on there. Whereas back in Missouri, You sign your kid up for football, they would give them pads, helmet, and hey, you're off to the races. And the schools funded everything. Things like coffee are crazy expensive out here, and this is like coffee capital. And people have gotten really accustomed to just walking in and spending an absurd amount of money on these conveniences. And I think conveniences are super expensive. Fast food is also like off the charts. I was in downtown Seattle in Fremont the other day, got stuck. I didn't have much time, but I was literally starving, had a solid workout. It's like I'll swing by McDonald's and just grab like usual junky food, whatever. My wife didn't know at the time, so I didn't get any flack for it. But it was about $4 more expensive buying that cheeseburger in Seattle than it was in Missouri. Wild. And especially when you take into account the run on inflation over the past couple of years, things have really gotten a lot more expensive, and I just wasn't prepared for it. So having a conversation with somebody like myself who's been there and done it to help you prepare to buy your house here and get out here would probably be a great idea. Again, my information is down there in the description box below. We're going to two-part this one with like positive and a negative when it comes to nature. So first of all, nature is everywhere. I drive around corners and you just have the most beautiful, stunning view of the mountains. There's evergreens everywhere that just like natural skyscrapers. There's creeks, ponds, rivers. You are an outdoors person. Washington is, I feel like it's unrivaled. I travel to a lot of really beautiful places, California, Colorado, and nothing hits like Washington. Mount Rainier, the Cascades, the Olympics. Gosh, it's just stunning. And even in the cities, they're the opposite of New York, like the concrete jungle. The cities actually spend a lot of time and focus on maintaining greenery, on maintaining the evergreens, keeping a lot of that natural flow. So I really think that's a huge positive, but I wouldn't say I did it, but it wasn't something I really accounted for. And so when you come out here, like 50 the first year living here. So I would say if you come out to Washington, you want to buy a house, or you want to relocate out here, you're gonna kind of an outdoorsy person, even if you don't think you will. You will. Opposite side of that, downside to outdoors, something I really didn't take into account, I feel like to its fullest extent, was the fact that there are real wildfires in the summer. I mean, times where I can't even see Mount Rainier coming out because there's just so much smoke. It's completely blocked. The skies are orange. They will send out notifications that say like, hey, don't let your kids play outside because the smoke is so freaking bad from the wildfires. We've gone to Leavenworth during the wildfires. I mean, it interrupts the pattern of the best time of the year towards the end there. Now, on the western side, and as you move up, like we don't see them as bad as sort of central, down a little bit more south. But man, like it happens. It's a real thing. And if you're not from California, Colorado, whatever, where that's common, it's definitely something to take into account. Lastly, because we talked about summer, I just want to tell you these summers here, dude, I have never experienced anything more beautiful in my entire life. I hate that it's like the most busiest time for real estate. Chris, my business partner, we're just talking this in the car the other day about how summer's like the time you just absolutely want to be out in nature. You want to be living life. You want to be on vacation. You want to be doing all of the things because life here is glorious, right? Like our summer is like 78 degrees. You have a few days that hit, above 90, but they're very few. So you can really have a easy summer here. It's just, there's water, there's all the events. Man, I mean, you wake up and, sometimes the sun is up when I get up at 5 a.m. and it's like starting to go down at 10 o'clock at night. It is unparalleled by anything that I've ever experienced. And if you don't believe me, like feel free to talk to anyone who lives here. They will tell you that summer is absolutely incredible. So, hey, listen, if you're wanting to make that move out to Washington State, I or my business partners would love to help you find the right place to call home. So whether you're looking to make your move here in the next 3 days or the next 3 months, shoot us a phone call, text, or an email, and we'll help you make a smooth move.